Hi everyone, it is Nurse Queen. I am back with a new video. This video is going to be a little bit different, so grab your wine because we're going to be spilling some tea. This video is going to be a Q&A. I went over to Instagram and asked my followers what they wanted to know. They had a bunch of travel nursing questions that I'm going to answer, as well as some personal, deep and juicy questions that I plan to answer as well. So if you're interested in that, go ahead and watch this video. Make sure you all are subscribed to my channel, you like and comment below. In the meantime, I'm gonna get right into it. As you all can see, the questions are rolling in, honey. The questions are rolling in. I'm super excited. I'm gonna answer like 15 questions because I don't want to make this video super long, but a lot of the questions were the same frequently asked questions, so I'm gonna try to combine those. But we have questions on travel nursing, my personal life, my relationship, travel hacks, girl friendship advice, things of that nature. So if you're interested in any of those topics, keep on watching. So I said that we're gonna do about 15 questions, so we're gonna go through the questions. I already chose which ones I'm gonna answer, and we're gonna go ahead and start with number one. So the first question is, have you ever been bullied in elementary, middle, or high school? Have you ever had a fight in school? So I've never really been bullied for real, but I can say that people did like tease my last name. My last name is Dickens, so from kindergarten until like probably, I don't know, 8th grade, people used to always make fun of my last name. It really didn't touch me too bad because I have really tough skin. But yeah, so as for the bully aspect, not really that bad. When it comes to nursing, like nurse bullying, I have been attempted to be bullied before. A nurse thought she was gonna bully me, but I had to really like flip the switch on her real quick and let her know like that's not gonna happen. So people have tried me, yeah, but I have really tough skin when it comes to like not allowing people to affect me. So yeah, that's how I dealt with that. As for have I ever had a fight in school, actually yes, I've had many fights. I probably had like 6 fights in high school. Like me and my friends, I don't know why people didn't like us. Like I just don't get it. Like what did we do to them for them not to like us? It just doesn't make sense. But we always found ourselves into fights with other groups of friends. Like they wouldn't like us, and then we'll get into tussles and fights. Honey, the girls love to tussle. Like they love to tussle in high school, and honey, they didn't like us. So yes, I definitely have had a fight before. Okay, so question number 2. What made you want to be a certified nurse midwife, a WHMP, instead of just an FNP? So me personally, I've always wanted to do OB or anything gynecological. So being a midwife really aligned with my purpose and my plan and my goals. Once I became a labor and delivery nurse, it really just helped me know my passion even more, and just let me know that, you know, being a family nurse practitioner is just too broad of a specialty for me to even feel like I'm fulfilled. So a lot of people always kind of like put down the fact that I went to school for directly midwifery or women's health. And honestly, I don't know why, because I know specifically what I want to do. I don't want to deal with older people. I typically don't want to deal with men. So just being in this specific route is aligning with my purpose and aligning with my passion. So that's pretty much why I chose Certified Nurse Midwife and WHMP over FNP, because I know 100% that this is the specialty that I want to stay in throughout my career. Okay, so the next question is, when do you think you will stop travel nursing? So honestly, that date is coming sooner than later. I'm actually planning my next contract as we speak, so I'll be sharing that with you all pretty soon. But really, in my opinion, travel nursing is just a stepping stone into my future. It's not like where I plan to stay. The money is amazing, don't get me wrong, but I've really done exactly what I needed to do when it comes to saving and just trying to put myself in a better position. So I will stop travel nursing sooner than later, so stay tuned on my Instagram because I'll be sharing that with you all pretty soon. Okay, so the next question is, how did you know your man was the one? Okay, so that's a good question. We're gonna actually take a drink to that. So if you have some wine, go ahead and take a sip because, yeah. So I knew that my man was for me and that we were soulmates because throughout our relationship, especially being long distance, it took a lot of conversation it was a lot of difficult moments, and for the most part, a lot of compromise. And what I realized is that I was willing to compromise. In my past situations, in my past relationships, I never would have compromised anything for anyone. It was my way or the highway. For a lot of the difficult moments that we had, it took compromise, it took conversations on both ends. And for us to both be willing to do that, I knew that that was my partner, that's my baby, that's my heart, and we locked in forever, period. Okay, so next question, question number 5. How long did it take you to feel comfortable and confident in L&D? Personally, it took me a while, honestly. When I first started L&D, I was a med-surg nurse prior for about a year and like 2 months, and then I went into L&D, so I was switching into specialties. And it was hard for me because I thought that I would be ahead of the game mentally, or just have like a better skill set as the new grads that I was starting with. And I didn't. Like, I felt like I was starting from literally square one. So with that being said, that was like a setback for me, and then me battling like imposter syndrome and things of that nature, it kind of took me back a tad bit. But it took me probably like a year and 3 to 4 months to feel really confident and comfortable. Before then, I would pull up to work and literally sit in the parking lot and literally pray every day. Sometimes I cried before I went into work because I was nervous and I was scared. It's a lot. You're dealing with women, you're dealing with their unborn babies that you have to help bring earthside. It's a lot. So with that being said, I did work at a high-risk facility, and towards the end, I realized that my charge nurse was giving me like a lot of the high-risk patients, the sickest patients, and I appreciated that so much because it built me into a better nurse, and it helped me build my critical thinking skills as well as my skill set. So I would say overall it took me about a year and 3 months of L&D experience to feel really comfortable, and I started traveling at about a year and a half, a year 6 months into my L&D experience. Okay, so question number 6, how to gain more subscribers on YouTube. That is actually a great question because it's very hard to gain subscribers. What I would say to anybody that is an inspiring content creator or trying to start a YouTube, just make sure that you build a platform first. You can't just like jump out and say, hey, I'm starting a YouTube, and just expect to get like instant support unless you're famous or like you're the baby mama of like a ball player or something. But if you're starting from zero and you're trying to build that rapport with your followers and your subscribers, my advice is to create a platform via Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and just kind of stick to your niche. Mine specifically is travel nursing, so that's what I stick to. But whatever your niche is, you stick to that. You gain followers, you gain supporters, and then wherever you go, they're gonna follow and just try to like pull from that content that you're giving out, if that makes sense. You can definitely comment below if you have any questions regarding like content creation or aspiring content creation. Okay, so next question, which is question number 6, is if you could give any advice to yourself in nursing school, what would it be? My main advice would be to have time management skills and really utilize a planner. In nursing school, I was all over the place. I literally was in probably like 3 organizations. I was very active on campus towards the end of my junior and senior year. I was in a sorority. I literally had a lot of stuff going on top of nursing school. So that kind of was very difficult because I didn't only have to manage my work and my schoolwork, I also had to manage organizations that I was in, as well as friends, relationships. I went to school out of state, so I had to also deal with family back home. It was a lot. So what I would give as advice to anybody in nursing school, or to myself when I was in nursing school, make sure you utilize a planner and just manage your time very well, because if you get ahead of time management, you'll have a great term, you'll have a great semester, and you'll literally set yourself up for greatness. Okay, so question number 7, what is your payday routines and how did you plan for your 2 months off? So a lot of people actually ask me that in my DMs. My last day of work was November 18th, and I don't plan to go back into work until at least like January 18th, January 20th. So that'll put me at 2 months out of work. I was very intentional and I wanted to take the holidays off. As you all know, during that time I caught COVID, which was very detrimental and just a setback to my goals and just my travels that I had planned. But all in all, those 2 months, I was financially stable. I was very comfortable. Now, what I did and what I do on my paydays is basically just literally write down my expenses for the next couple of months. When I knew I was gonna take this long stretch off, is pay all my bills up until whenever I plan to start back working. So I went ahead and paid my bills for November, December, and January, and that way when I stopped working, I was very comfortable financially. But then of course other expenses would arise and things happen because it's life. But as for bills, phone bill, rent, insurance, things that I kind of know happens every month, they were already accounted for and paid for. That's kind of how I try to be financially responsible. Emphasis on try. Okay, so we're gonna go through these questions a little faster. I didn't realize how in-depth my explanations and my answers would be. So now I think we're on question number 6. Would you do an NYC assignment, such as a New York travel nurse assignment? I definitely would, but they'll have to pay the big bucks because I know how people say travel nursing in New York is. But that is definitely on my bucket list, hopefully sooner than later, because I love New York to visit. So being there and just living there would definitely be super dope. Next, the longest contract you ever did. I would say my contract here in DC, which is where I fell in love with DC and chose to move here and really become a resident. I actually stayed at a contract for about from November all the way until August. So however many months that is, that's how long I stayed. It was actually through the pandemic when it first started. So I was very grateful to have that assignment because I felt very stable and I counted DC as home. So that was the longest assignment I've ever done. And I guess you would say that's like 6 months. Next, have you already been vaccinated? So this is about question, I think, oh my God, I'm losing count. I think this is question 10. Yeah, we're gonna say question 10. So question 10 is, have you already been vaccinated? Yes, I've been vaccinated ×2. And if you all watched my last video, I did get COVID. Yes, I know the vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting COVID. My symptoms were very mild. I had a headache, some fatigue, nothing really major, but yes, I definitely have been vaccinated. Initially it was by force because it was like kind of hindering me getting contracts and stuff. But now I'm very glad that I did get vaccinated because who knows how sick I would have been if I didn't get vaccinated when I got COVID. So yes. Next question, number 11. What company do you use for shipping your car? I use a company called shipyourcar.com, and basically it ships your car to whatever city you're going to. Normally, I'm not very far. Typically, I'm like shipping my car from like Chicago to DC or DC to Chicago, and that's normally like around $700 to $800. So it is affordable. I know other people who have traveled further said that it's a little bit more, but always weigh out your options. If Ubering will be cheaper, and also weigh out if you can just get a rental with a discounted rate for being a travel nurse and an essential worker. So yes, that is the company that I use. It's called shipyourcar.com. So next question is, how do you feel about different specialties gatekeeping, and did you experience this in L&D? So if I'm familiar with the term gatekeeping, that normally means that your specialty or your unit is trying to keep you there and not allow you to flourish out to other floors. Me personally, I think that's what happened to me. I was a med-surg nurse for about a year and probably like 2 months before I branched out to a whole nother hospital to be an L&D nurse. What happened was I kept applying to the L&D unit at the hospital that I had my med-surg experience, and they kept saying, oh, you need med-surg experience. I got med-surg experience, and they said like, oh, we're full now. Like, they literally wouldn't accept me. And of course, all the nurses didn't look like me on that unit. It was very cliquey, if that makes sense. The nurses who have worked there, the nurses that work there have been there for years. So that's probably what they wanted to keep, that same rapport and just that same flow of the nurses that they already have. But literally, my med-surg manager said that she would allow me to go and kind of even put in a good word for me. I don't know in the back end if she did anything or said anything that could have hindered my transfer, but yeah, like I was not able to transfer from med-surg to L&D at the hospital that I started at. So I had to literally drive an hour from Frankfort, Kentucky all the way to Louisville, Kentucky every day that I had to work just to get my initial L&D experience. Granted, I'm so grateful because I worked at the best L&D hospital in Kentucky, downtown Norton, best hospital ever, high risk. I got the best experience. So, you know, everything happens for a reason, and I'm super thankful for this all. So I would say that my favorite contract was my Miami contract for many reasons. Of course, it's Miami. Who doesn't love Miami? But also the flow was very organized. Now, the hospital was so busy. It's probably one of the busiest facilities I've ever worked at. But the way they organized their staff, the amount of staff that they had, the way they treated travelers was all pretty exceptional. So I definitely would go back there. Memorial Hospital downtown, love that hospital. 10 out of 10 will recommend. And my manager, she was A1, loved her. Next, my second favorite city and hospital was Howard University, mainly because it was all minority and just all Black providers, Black doctors, Black nurses, Black residents. Everybody looked like me, even the patients. And just to see that Black excellence and just that patient-centered care gave me just a sense of importance and just a sense of gratitude. Like, I was so grateful to be there. So next question is, are you doing a dual WHMP and CNM program? So technically my program is not dual. It is basically either you're in a midwifery program or you're in a WHMP program. But what you can do, which is what I'm doing, is basically go through one track. So for example, I'm going the midwifery track. I'm going to become a midwife, take my boards, and then I can take additional classes to then sit for my WHMP board. So that's exactly what I'm doing. The additional classes are probably like 4 to 5 classes. It's nothing extensive at all. So technically it's not dual, but you can still get both degrees in a reasonable time. Okay, next question. Were you ever a CNA, and do you think being a PCT or CNA is a good job to have before becoming an RN? I was never a CNA, but I do know some awesome CNAs, and some of them have progressed to becoming RNs, and they make the best nurses, to be honest, because they have that foundation of healthcare and just nursing that a lot of us don't. I do think it would be beneficial if it's going to delay your schooling process and just like take away from the time you could be invested into RN or LPN or whatever nursing track you're planning to go. I would definitely say go straight into becoming an RN and just go straight from there. But yes, CNAs are definitely needed, and I do think that it's a great stepping stone for many people into the healthcare field. Next question, did KYSU nursing program prepare you for the real world? I applied this spring. So KYSU, which is my alma mater, is Kentucky State University. That is where I got my ADN and my BSN, and yes, it prepared me so well. My clinical instructors were awesome. My skills check off instructors were amazing. The program itself, I believe, is structured pretty different from when I went, but during my course there, my sister and I both graduated from Kentucky State University. We had a great experience. We learned a lot. We prepared for boards. So that's really all that matters at the end of the day. Oh yeah, and KYSU, Kentucky State University, my alma mater, is an HBCU, so that is always a plus. The Black excellence at the university was top tier. 10 out of 10 would recommend. I met some lifelong friends. I made lifelong connections. So definitely would recommend that as a nursing program, especially with the plus of it being an HBCU. Okay, so last question, last but definitely not least, because this is a loaded question. How do you get over past traumas? So honestly, how I get over past traumas or past experiences that I literally hate that I went through is I talk about them. I'm very boisterous of my pen. I'm very vocal on really expressing my standards, my boundaries to people. So how I get over traumas is just literally talking through them. Actually, in 2022, I plan to enter therapy to really get some self-healing for some of the past traumas that I have not addressed yet, as well as some childhood traumas that are probably affecting my adulthood. So with that being said, yeah, that's kind of how I get through past traumas, is just talk through them either with a person or just with my confidants, such as my best friend, my mom, and people that can really help me through the things, because your perspective alone isn't always the best perspective, and that's what I'm starting to learn as I get older. Thank you all for watching. I am so happy that I did this Q&A. I'm actually going to do more things like this because it helps me know how to actually give you the information directly how you need it. So in the meantime, if you have any additional questions, go ahead and comment below. If that is all, we're going to end this video. See you all soon. Bye.